afternoon. And in this presentation, we are going to be talking about how Cognite and AWS is transforming manufacturing operations for life sciences customers. I am joined by, my name is Rajesh Gamatam. I'm a principal solutions architect and technical lead for Industrial Data Fabric solution. I'm joined by Dr. Sliman Albab from Cognite, who is the VP of partners, as well as Nipun, who is the Global Account Manager for Life Sciences. So let's talk about the current landscape for manufacturing customers, right? So there are a variety of different problems. One of the key problems is customers want to adopt new technologies while maintaining their security and compliance postures. And it becomes even more complicated when we have certain other aspects, especially personalized medicine. Compared to traditional bulk manufacturing, we really need to have a very tailored manufacturing process for personalized medicine. So customers need to have all the data in a very contextualized format, being able to easily analyze and get the data with AI ML technologies. So compared as to any traditional manufacturing, data is spread across different systems, right? With amongst lines, plants, and many other systems. So we need to have a unified area where we need to aggregate all the data, able to see the data in with context in a form of a knowledge graphs, so that we can understand the interrelationship between processes and assets and its interdependencies. Once we have the unified domain model, then customers can easily accelerate to different use cases, create new solution level models and accelerate. So that is exactly the challenge which we are solving with the partnership between AWS and Cognite. So here is a high-level architecture of how Cognite and AWS play for life sciences customers. So in this case, Cognite has extractors where Cognite Data Fusion can ingest all the data. They have ML algorithms which can all do the data mapping very quickly and create the so-called industrial knowledge graph. And at the same time, it is well integrated with other APIs and SDKs. So customers can send the data which has been collected from into AWS, and at the same time leverage the data from Cognite Data Fusion into AWS for advanced analytics and analysis, dashboards, and many other things. So with that, without any ado, I will pass it on to Sliman, who will be talking about how Cognite Data Fusion really helps our pharma customers. Sliman?
Thank you, Rajesh. So if I had something to leave you with, is the importance for all these life science customers, these pharma customers we're working with, to not only take the equipment data, the production line data, the site data, but cross-site data, operations data, but also the engineering data, all as part of one. Bring this all as part of one and enable the transformation of manufacturing operations. As Rajesh mentioned, individualized therapies, a lot of demand that is fluctuating, supply is fluctuating, requires robust and agile manufacturing operations, uptime, quality deviations, equipment reliability, people efficiency is very important. So this is how Cognite enables that. And let me go through how. Traditionally, our customers were looking into the convergence of IT data and OT data. Many from life science and other verticals think that IT-OT convergence is good enough. However, how many of these customers have gone through purgatory of pilots? Pilots are not able to scale. More importantly, a lot of use cases that we encounter on day in, day out, such as root cause analysis, deviation analysis, whether it is findings management, etc., require not only IT and OT, but require a lot of engineering data. And engineering data means P&IDs, equipment documentation, supplier recommendations. All this data that is there available, but not used because silos. So here what we're talking about bringing the gap between IT, OT, and ET. So we, as Cognite, have come from the world of not OT/IT, but as well embracing ET, engineering. We have used this to build your enterprise knowledge repository on which you can deploy AI. We have made that available not only for our shop floor, but as well top floor end users. One would say, why? Actually, because we needed to have, through this approach, a digital representation of your equipment. Some would say, we do that every day. Great. A digital representation of your production process. Some would say, oh, I'll do it on my site. Great, but what about cross-sites? A digital representation of your product through the production process, extremely relevant in your industry, in life science, but as well in other regulatory. So bringing these digital representations together in sync with the physical world and the digital world in real time is what Cognite enables. I'm not talking here about digital twin because it's a buzzword. I'm talking about the digital representation of equipment, production processes, and product through the production process to enable all the KPIs that are made, that make performance from shop floor to top floor. Now, what is a secret sauce? As always, right, there needs to be a secret sauce. So secret sauce is for us, not only bringing this data, but we call it contextualize that data. There come, and that was, I think, becomes common practice, right, in the industry. So it's bringing that data from multiple silos, mapping the data, linking the data, putting context around the data. An equipment, a tag, a time series associated to it, work orders associated to that equipment, documentation associated to that equipment. That equipment is part of a shift handover report. These are a lot of information that we all consolidate, contextualize in real time, and make available to end users. Shop floor end users, maintenance, process engineers, line managers, plant managers, business leaders, ultimately to drive business-related KPIs. We do that in real time. Now, we don't do it by putting a lot of human power behind it. We use AI, ML technologies to enable that data mapping at any point in time. And yes, it is robust. Yes, it is robust to the point that end users and users in general have confidence in our way to map the data coming from multiple data sources, even though they come from structured data sources or unstructured, like PDFs, PNIDs, shift handover reports that may be sometimes handwritten. These are all information that we contextualize day to day for operations efficiency. Now, why do we do that? Because by bringing all that data, if you wanted to address quality deviation initiatives, if you wanted to address even pH monitoring initiatives for specific equipment, if you wanted to address some specific initiatives around supply chain, quality, maintenance, why not touch management, health and safety? These are all transformations, business transformations that are carried by our customers that we Cognite with AWS enable. As Rajesh mentioned, we extract the data from source systems. We can cache them as well. But as I mentioned, we also contextualize, map that data automatically as part of an enterprise data model that is normalized around ISA 88, ISA 95, or any type of structured data model that is relevant to you. More importantly, with that enterprise data layer that expands across multiple sites, we're able to take the snapshot of data, we slice and dice the data to the use case that is relevant to you. And with that, we support that business transformation, that journey over time, that horizontal scalability of use cases. That's one. More importantly, one would say, okay, I have a pilot site in Singapore and another site maybe there, right? So we need to ensure as well that time to value scaling across sites. So one of our customers in an adjacent vertical, we worked with that customer in a few months to get the data foundation in place for one site. And a set of relevant use cases across maintenance, yield, digital worker, etc., put in place after a few months. This was a lot of knowledge that we gathered about that customer. That was one site in a few months. One would say, and so what? Actually, it was really for us the knowledge repository where then we're able to deploy 29 sites in another year. So one site in a few months, 29 sites in another year, 30 sites in total. The expansion across use cases, across the functional areas that I mentioned, is as well enlightening. From 3 use cases to 10 to 40, that's the journey that our customers has put in place. How quickly they can deploy use cases on a pilot site, and through that data foundation, deploy the use cases extremely fast, time to value in mind. Now, one would say, what does that mean? Actually, in a few words, these are quotes from customers. How can I deploy extractors not in 2 weeks, not in 3 weeks, in 1 day? If I want to extract data from a syncade, if I want to extract data from a rock well, how can I do that not in weeks, but in days? How do I make sure that when I pull that data from multiple source systems, I can contextualize not through a tremendous effort, manual effort, but automatically with a level of confidence? Over 75% of the data is contextualized automatically with a high level of confidence. Building data models for quality, building data models for yield, building data models for energy management, building data models needs to be fast and simple. It could be done by data scientists. It could be done as well by citizen data scientists or by IT. We need to enable that. And these are the type of codes, over 40% of time in terms of data management, right? So gain in terms of data management. That's what we call time to value. That's what we call time to value. Now, with that data foundation put in place, what does that mean to our end users? There's no more Excel spreadsheets, no more, this is old age. Now more mirror board type of engagements, where I have an alert, and through that alert I need to be able to pull all the data I need to do my root cause analysis. This can be PNIDs that are interactive. This can be time series. This can be documents. So structured and structured that I have at my fingertip, and you as users can leverage to do root cause analysis. So you will be able to look at the events, to look at all the data you need to do root cause analysis. Now, you means a lot. How can we automate that? And I'm sure that here at Hannover Messe, you all heard about AI, right? It's everywhere. It's all everywhere. Now, question is, how do you make that AI robust? How do we make sure that that AI is put in a business context that the user understands? How do we make sure that the answers are hallucination-free? Actually, when you think about it, deploying AI on contextualized data ensures that robustness of answers, that repeatability, the understanding of the business context of an answer to a question. And many of our customers have put contextualized data as the center of the agentic strategy. That's what we, as Cognite, with AWS and Bedrock enable. Now, what does that mean? If we look at a transition, in the old days, it was about you speaking the language of your data. That's what we are asking users to do, right? Understand the data and speak the language of data. Then with Gen AI came the big question is, does the data speak human? But now with the era of today, it's no more about data speaking human, it's about AI speaking data. And that's the transition that we as Cognite are enabling. By embedding LLMs and deploying this contextualized data on the top of to enable AI. So it's no more just deploy an AI agent, but being able to configure an AI agent on the top of a knowledge graph. Call in technologies from AWS or other providers, by the way, other providers, and be able to say, with that agent, I'm able to address time series analysis. One customer earlier today was talking about, hey, I would like to look into pH trend deviations. Oh, excellent. For what? For very good reasons. So how can we deploy that AI to explore and get insights of your time series? How do we deploy that AI to build agents around root cause analysis? How can we deploy AI in agentic approach, so agents, to support maintenance planners and maintenance executors? So many different areas where AI plays a role, where the deployment of this agentic approach is made possible because people trust the answers provided by these agents on the top of a knowledge graph repository, contextualized data. And that data, again, is not only what I call enterprise operations data, it's not only enterprise IT data, it's also enterprise engineering data, all as part of one. Now, you as users and end users, the era of looking for documents, I have an exception on a pump, on a pressure problem, temperature problem. I'm no more looking into this and that other document, this and that other systems. I should be able to call agents who help me navigate my data, explore my data, and find the right insights. Support me with my root cause analysis, and based on that data foundation, data plus insights, improve the efficiency of my operations. Now, we do that a lot with our colleagues from AWS as part of business transformations. Nipun, I'll let you explain this partnership, please.
Thank you, Sliman. I think you heard a lot about Cognite, how they're providing time to value with their offering, with knowledge graph ingestion. But obviously they're running on AWS, and this is where the partnership of a hyperscaler, ability to provide running these solutions on AWS cloud. They're able to leverage the infrastructure, some of the simulation piece, and they're able to scale as obviously when needed, right? And that's where the power of large data sets that can run on AWS. So this is where we support the flexibility, the scalability and adaptability of your site solutions. It will expand from one site to 30 sites. And how are you able to do that? So that's where AWS and Cognite partnership comes in. And there are lots of services. So underneath Cognite, lots of services are on native AWS services, right? So we are also now exploring different patterns. Right now, I think Cognite is on SaaS. We're looking into what that would look like from a VPC perspective. I think there are a lot of life science customers here. One of the things they're actually worried about is data. Where does data resides in, right? And some of the regulations are there from that perspective. So we're exploring different patterns as we continue to with this partnership, right? So the question is, where do you start, right? You have seen a lot. We are collaborating from an AWS perspective. There's a product data fusion And there is what we call, there is a whole compliance when we, as part of AWS Data Fabric, when we work with partners, we have a compliance from a product perspective, security perspective. So Cognite Data Fusion has gone through those elements. So it's compliant from a collaboration, from a future perspective. How do we scale? How do we bring those agility to some of those applications as we look into? You want to add something on there?
Thank you. You touched really on important topics, right? So obviously we didn't talk about GXP certifications, and obviously so we are, right, looking into, with our customers, into the qualification processes and the validation processes, right, of your use cases and platforms. These are really areas that we are collaborating strongly with our colleagues from AWS. I think in terms of engagement approach is always very value oriented. So we always collaborate on identifying what we would call a proof of concept or a minimal viable product on which we believe a lot of value can be generated, and then that scalability, that horizontal scalability and vertical scalability can be proven, right?
Yeah, so I think, you probably know Amazon working backwards. We have this approach where we don't want to do just technology, right? So obviously some of the examples Slimland was sharing was, there are specific challenges customers are looking into: yield improvement, right? Deviations management. And we are working backwards from those specific problems. And the approach is very much about, let's showcase that in a proof of concept, in a MLP, or what we call minimal lovable product, before we actually get into a production environment. So that's always been our approach. And that's what we, I think, work together on some of those use cases.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, in conclusion, I would like to say Cognite is a well-integrated solution with all the AWS services. And we are serving many manufacturing customers as well as many life sciences customers. So there are a plethora of different use cases which we are solving. And the main key is the ability for Cognite to automate the creation of the industrial knowledge graph and data mapping from different sources. That has been the main Achilles heel in terms of problem which the customers are facing to scale these solutions. So for more details, you can visit our booth, Cognite booth over here, where you can have a real-time demo of the solution and learn more about that. With this, I will thank you for attending, and we will open up for any questions.
Thank you.